My wife and I met through online dating about a decade ago and hit it off pretty quickly. We have been married for 8 years now. We own a house together and have 2 young children who are less than 6 years old. Neither of us had really had a successful long-term relationship prior to meeting each other. We are a team and we constantly have each other's backs. We have worked through some stuff in the past, mainly financial issues we didn't see eye to eye on, but we communicate well and work through things as a team. We have not had any insurmountable hurdles until seemingly now. She is straight and always maintains that she is straight, but she definitely has a style that gives off I like girls vibes. My wife has issues with knowing where to draw the line on joking about things, and in her workplace, the level of joking, especially of an intimacy nature, crosses all kinds of lines that wouldn't be crossed at my workplace. I would get fired for the things she and her coworkers joke about on a daily basis. But it comes with their work environment. Recently, she has made a new friend at work, within the last couple of weeks, who is roughly the same age. Let's call her Rachel. Rachel is so funny. Rachel has a child in our child's class at school. Rachel sent me another funny message. She's so cool, haha. Rachel's roughly the same age as my wife and me, to my knowledge, and is married to a woman, and they have at least 1 child. Last night I was plugging in the iPad to charge, and since the iPad is linked to my wife's phone, messages on her phone appear on the iPad as well. She was working a late shift, so I was home alone with the kids. As I was plugging it in, there was a message notification on the screen, a phone number with no name, and the message was absolutely gushing about my wife's personality, looks, etc. Normally I don't go through her messages. I see the jokes that come through sometimes, and you can tell they are jokes, but this one didn't sit well with me. It was too non-jokey, too legitimately heartfelt. So I opened up the message. Over the next 10 to 15 minutes, I gathered that this was Rachel texting her, and that something had happened earlier in the day between the two of them, physically, and my wife had put up a boundary. But then all of the messages after that were the two of them flirting back and forth. And my wife was asking, what if they moved the boundary? And Rachel responding that they could discuss setting a new boundary. My wife also expressed that she wishes she had met Rachel before me, or at least before we had kids. I took pictures of all the messages with my phone. I wasn't sure how to screenshot them and send them to myself from the iPad without her realizing. Then I started texting her and asking how her day was. What did she get up to, etc. It was slowly revealed that she had spent the morning with Rachel. Rachel was at our house in the morning, for the whole morning. They had chatted about issues at work and issues with Rachel's marriage. My wife never does this. She never has people over to the house like that. The odd time she does, I generally hear about it. She tells me because she is excited that she had an old friend over or something. So I danced around it a bit with a few more text messages and then said, screw it. I know something happened, and I'm going to put her on the spot. I texted something along the lines of, I am about to start asking some very real questions, and you need to have a very good answer. And then indicated that I had charged up the iPad for her for when she got home. The iPad lights up with my message, and then I can see that she read it, and then it lights up again with a message to Rachel, with a screenshot of my message to my wife, and she says to Rachel, we're done. Rachel asks, what is going on? And my wife says that I know, because I can see the whole conversation on the iPad. And then she texts me back, asking if she can call me in a few minutes, when she can find a quiet spot at work. I told her not to call me and made arrangements for her to sleep in the basement. I am numb right now. I did not sleep last night. I had a million thoughts floating through my head. This morning, I sat with her in the early hours of the morning and had a discussion. I think we need to address this through marriage counseling with a professional who knows how to handle this situation. I asked her why, and she has no answer. She says she can't explain it. She says there is nothing wrong with me, and it is nothing I did. She is happy in life and doesn't know why she did it. She says all they did was kiss and nothing more. But I told her that I know from her messages that she was pushing for more. I poured my heart out to her, and all I got back was some mumbled, sorry, and I know you're hurting, etc. She doesn't know what to say, and she seems numb as well. She said she is embarrassed. I told her that she is embarrassed and sorry only because she got caught, because she obviously wasn't thinking about me or the kids. I left this morning for work telling her that I am willing to patiently work through this with a marriage counselor, but that this was going to take some time. This wasn't it was a work party, and we were all drunk and I made a mistake. This was a Thursday morning, stone cold sober. She invited her into the house immediately after dropping the kids off at school. Minutes after. A couple of hours after we had just had morning intimacy. And then they were flirting with each other via text the rest of the day, while at work together, and further getting handsy at work. All the while my wife was texting me, asking about my day, what's in the fridge for the kids for dinner, and if we could find some time to FaceTime the kids tonight. I can tell by the timestamps on the text messages that she was flirting with this Rachel right before and right after the call with the kids. I am so mad and trying to keep a level head and not do anything without rational thought put in first. I believe in trying to fix this. Do you have any advice or pointers on how to go about this? I have already made it clear that I want to go through marriage counseling. I have told her that I want her to get an STD screening. I have told her that she needs to be more professional at work and stop joking around. She has indicated that she has cut contact with Rachel and will only speak to her in a professional capacity when necessary at work. I have photos of the messages they sent to each other, and my wife does not know that I have them, only that I could see what was on the iPad. I have told her she can stay in the basement for a while. I don't know if there is anything else I can do right now. Is this a lost cause? Should I just go scorched earth? I don't want to do that to my kids. Should I get her checked for a tumor? I so badly want to believe she has some tumor that has messed with her brain. This is just so out of left field. It came out of absolutely nowhere, and it is nothing like her. She seems to have no real idea of why it happened, other than she got curious. Should I try and get in touch with Rachel's wife and let her know, or see if my wife has the courage to do it, or just leave that one alone? She has another late shift today, and I am at work now, so we probably won't cross paths again until tomorrow morning. We have a weekend of kids' birthday parties to attend, and I don't know how we'll get through them without people realizing something is terribly wrong between us. Any advice anyone has would be greatly appreciated before I speak to her in person again. I want to make this better, and I don't want to feel like I messed it up by trying the wrong way if it goes south. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Sleeping in the basement does nothing but build resentment. That doesn't help things. They simply can't work together. Don't play the pick-me game. Stop with the pouring your heart out. She should be pouring her heart out to you. Make it clear that divorce is on the table. Actions have consequences. Her actions now will determine positive or negative consequences. If she disconnects her phone from the iPad, she just broke trust again. The only reason to do that after being caught is to not get caught again. Also, look for apps being downloaded or used like Snapchat, Instagram, WhatsApp, Telegram, etc. Update me comment 2. My wife also expressed that she wishes she had met Rachel before me, or at least before we had kids. Firstly, I'm sorry this happened to you. Secondly, I don't know how you will be able to get past this, therapy or not. She literally told her AP that she wishes your kids weren't around so she can screw around with less guilt. Keep that message for the custody battle. Now, for the update, thank you for joining me again. So, things have been wild since I last updated. My wife, she's been staying in the basement, and it's like we're strangers in our own home. She's trying to act normal for the kids, but they're not dumb. They sense something's off. We've been to a couple of counseling sessions, and it's just been a mess of tears and apologies. She keeps saying she's sorry, but I'm not sure if she's sorry for what she did or just sorry she got caught. Now, here's where it gets really complicated. I found out that my wife's been talking to Rachel again, not in person, but through work emails. I wasn't snooping, I swear. I was using her laptop for something, and an email notification popped up. I couldn't help it. I clicked, and there it was, them talking about missing each other and how hard it is to stay away. It felt like a punch in the gut. I confronted her about it, and she broke down, saying she was confused and didn't know what she wanted anymore. She said she felt trapped by our life, the kids, the house, everything. That hurt, like our life together was some kind of prison for her. But then She did something that completely threw me off. She quit her job just like that. Said she needed to get away from that environment, from Rachel. She said she wanted to focus on us, on our family. I didn't know what to think. Was this her way of showing commitment, or was it just another impulsive move? We've been trying to keep things stable for the kids, attending their school events and birthday parties. It's been tough, pretending everything's fine. People keep asking if we're okay, and we just smile and say, we're working through some stuff. It's exhausting. Then last week, my wife's old friend from college came into town. They used to be really close, and she's been a good support for my wife through all of this. But I overheard them talking late one night, and my wife was confessing to her friend that she still had feelings for Rachel, that she didn't know if she could just shut them off. Her friend was telling her she needed to make a choice, for everyone's sake. That conversation has been eating at me. I've been trying to be patient, to give her space to figure things out, but I'm at my breaking point. I can't keep living in limbo, not knowing if my wife is going to wake up one day and decide she's done with our marriage, so I made a decision. I told her we needed to have a serious talk. I laid it all out, how her actions were affecting the kids, me, our whole life. I told her she needed to decide what she really wanted because I couldn't keep going like this. And then she surprised me. She broke down, crying, saying she was so sorry for everything. She said she realized that she'd been chasing something that wasn't real, that she'd been selfish. She told me she wanted to be with me, with our family, and that she was willing to do whatever it took to make things right. I was skeptical, but I could see the sincerity in her eyes. We talked for hours, and it felt like we were finally getting somewhere. We agreed to keep going to counseling, to really work on our issues. She promised there would be no more contact with Rachel, and I believe her. It's not going to be easy, but I feel like we've turned a corner. We're taking it one day at a time, but I'm hopeful for the first time in a long time. I guess sometimes it takes hitting rock bottom to really see what's important. Thank you for reading. Husband turns violent and accuses me of fraud. So I fight for our house in court, but lose everything when judge sides with him. And now I'm left with no home or money and a broken heart. My ex-husband, 35-year-old male, has offered me 29-year-old female, a lowball divorce settlement offer after suffering so much trauma in the last couple of years of our marriage. I, a 29-year-old female, am divorcing my 35-year-old husband. I apologize in advance for the length of this essay. A bit of background. My ex and I met nearly 10 years ago and got married after dating for 4 years. During the time that we were together, everything seemed normal, and we even planned to have kids. Everything went wrong during the pandemic, leading up to the breakdown of the relationship. His father was diagnosed with a terminal condition and given a week to live. His father died, and my ex became suicidal. I did my absolute best to be there for him and arranged therapy sessions, and directed him to resources that I knew of from a friend who works with people who have gone through similar things. During this exact time, I woke up one morning to find that I had gone completely blind in one eye with very reduced vision in the other eye. It was discovered that I had inflammation on the brain, and after a barrage of tests, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. I was put on a high dose of steroids and regained my eyesight over a period of 3 months. During this time, my ex was non-responsive. He would sit in front of his Xbox nearly 24/7. I made sure he ate and showered, but found it extremely overwhelming to take care of him and myself while trying to recover. So I had to get my mom and sister to alternate coming to help me. He refused to let his family know how he was, and I respected that decision at the time. In hindsight, I should have let them know. As the months went by, he began to feel better, but unfortunately, I began to experience panic attacks, and he became somewhat violent. He would break things around the house, and if I got visibly upset, he would angrily say that I had no right to be upset because the violence wasn't directed at me. When I accidentally dropped things, he would make snide comments about me being clumsy, despite knowing that multiple sclerosis affects my grip strength. It went on this way until I woke up one morning and realized I had to get myself out. So I left and told him why. He never once showed an interest in how my health was or offered to attend a single appointment with me. Fast forward to the current situation. The house we jointly own has gone up in value over the 5 years we've owned it, as he was making additional mortgage payments monthly. So the equity has gone up. I have contributed my half of the bills from day one, despite earning significantly less than him, save for the additional mortgage payment. Without getting a formal valuation, just one obtained via Zoopla, we can expect to sell the house and each walk away with $58,000 after paying the mortgage. He would like to keep the house, and I just want a clean break. I would be willing to forego the formal valuation, which I know would put the value up by at least $20,000, so I'd accept $50,000 to walk away. But he has refused and given me a lowball offer of $30,000, saying that I don't deserve more, as he put down the initial deposit for the house and has been making double payments on the mortgage. He also said that it's not like he cheated, so he doesn't owe me anything for me leaving. I hope to get this settled without lawyers, but it's looking more and more like I won't be able to avoid that. I don't want to argue with him about money and just want a clean break. What should I do? Edit. Thank you for all the advice and suggestions. It's really heartwarming. I have been in therapy for nearly 4 months now. The equity owned in the house jointly is $116,000, and I have now contacted a few local solicitors, and a couple sound promising. I really hadn't thought about how my contributions were valid, like me painting the bedrooms or taking care of the house and garden. It's definitely given me a lot of food for thought. Thank you all so very much for your kind words. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I think the main concern is not exactly the fact that he's lowballing you, but rather the fact that he's been violent towards you. Life sucks and we lose people, but that doesn't mean we get to treat anyone else in our lives like shoot and abuse them. Get a really good lawyer, 100%. I would also post the specifics about the house in our Ask Alla Wire for more advice. Comment 2. If your name is on the mortgage, there likely is no clean break unless he sells the house. He would need to refinance, and mortgage rates are significantly worse today, so that may not even be an option. You don't want him to just take over the loan, as that prevents you from buying another house in the future. So like everyone else here says, you need a lawyer. Now, for the update, thank you for sticking with me through this. So much has happened since my last post. Just when I thought things couldn't get more complicated, they did. My ex, the guy who offered me that lowball settlement, decided to play dirty. He claimed he had found some old credit card debts that I supposedly racked up and said they should come out of my share. I was floored. I never had a credit card in my name alone during our marriage. We always shared one. But here he was, waving around statements with charges I didn't recognize. I was already struggling with my health, and this new stress didn't help. I had to dig through years of paperwork, trying to prove those debts weren't mine. It was exhausting. I found myself snapping at my mom and sister, the only support I had. I was ashamed of my behavior, but I couldn't help it. The pressure was just too much. Meanwhile, my ex was living it up in our house, acting like he had already won. He posted pictures on social media of him renovating the kitchen, something we had planned to do together. It felt like a slap in the face. He was erasing me from his life, from our home, one tile at a time. I finally got a break when a mutual friend confessed that my ex had taken out a credit card in my name right before our split. He had been using it to fund his new lifestyle, thinking I wouldn't notice amidst the chaos of our divorce. I was furious. I felt betrayed all over again. It was a mistake on his part, thinking he could get away with it, and it changed everything. I took this information to my solicitor, who said it was a game changer. We could use it to argue that he was trying to defraud me, but it also meant going to court, something I had wanted to avoid at all costs. The thought of facing him there, of dragging all our dirty laundry out for everyone to see, made me sick to my stomach. The court date loomed over me like a dark cloud. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. My health took a nosedive. I had another flare-up of my MS, and this time, it hit me hard. I was bedridden for days, feeling like a prisoner in my own body. My mom had to take time off work to care for me, and I could see the worry etched on her face. The day of the court hearing arrived, and I was a mess. My sister had to help me get dressed, and I clutched her hand the entire car ride there. When we walked into the courtroom, I saw my ex sitting there, looking smug. He didn't even have the decency to look ashamed. The hearing was a blur. My solicitor presented the evidence of the credit card fraud, and my ex's lawyer tried to argue it away. But the judge wasn't having any of it. He saw right through my ex's lies. For a moment, I thought we had won, that justice would be served. But then, in a shocking turn, my ex stood up and accused me of being the one who was lying. He said I was trying to ruin him because I was bitter about the divorce. He played the victim so well that I could see doubt creeping into the judge's eyes. My heart sank. I wanted to scream to tell them all that he was the liar, not me. But I couldn't find my voice. In the end, the judge ruled in my ex's favor. He said there wasn't enough evidence to prove the credit card fraud, and he believed my ex's story about the debts being mine. I was ordered to pay half of them, which wiped out the settlement I was supposed to get. I walked out of that courtroom with nothing. I lost my home, my financial security, and any hope of a clean break. My ex got everything, and I was left to pick up the pieces of my shattered life. It's not fair, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around how it all went so wrong. Thank you for reading my story. My GF gets drunk off shots a stranger bought and can't remember our night together. So when her ex comes back into the picture, I start to wonder if she's cheating with him or the ghost of her past, looking for advice. My girlfriend, 29, and I, 29, have been together for a year now. So the other night we went out with some friends like we usually would. We didn't plan on being out too late as she had to work in the morning. We got carried away and ended up going to another bar with one other friend. While we were there, we were just chit-chatting about random stuff and whatnot. There was a guy sitting next to my girlfriend, and I was sitting next to her. He started talking to her, and he was clearly already drunk. He wound up buying a couple of shots for him, my girlfriend, and one other person he was harassing. My girlfriend tried to end the conversation by turning her back to him and facing me. We were talking, and a couple of minutes later, the guy gets my girlfriend's attention and points out that he had gotten her a shot. She took the shot, and we went outside to get away. We didn't think anything of it at the time. We were just out having fun. Anyway, the night carried on, and she seemed to be fine. Nothing out of the ordinary. She may have looked a little tipsy at the end of the night, but that's it. She seemed as alert as she's always been. We had only had a few drinks, so I thought everything was good. We've been out plenty of times before and gotten way more messed up. So we ended up going back home, and she was all over me. Nothing unusual for a night out for us. We ended up having intimacy, and it was great, as always. The next morning, we woke up and she tells me that she couldn't remember last night. She told me all she can remember is up until taking that shot. She is so distraught, being that she has always been very careful with strangers. Everything happened so fast that night, so we don't know when it could have been slipped in her drink. She seemed completely coherent throughout the night, but she doesn't remember anything. Now I know that there is no way we could have known what had happened, but I feel terrible about intimacy that night, and she does too. There's absolutely no way that I would ever take advantage of her. But I feel awful looking back, knowing now that she wasn't there for it. I feel gross about it, and she has expressed the same feelings. So I've been giving her space and letting her work through it. Our intimacy life has always been fantastic and very strong. However, she talked to me about it, and she doesn't feel comfortable with the idea of having intimacy or being intimate right now, and doesn't know how long it will take to feel right about it. She knows that I have a high intimacy drive, and I think she's afraid that I'll leave her because of it. I've reassured her that I'm here to support her no matter what. Ever since it happened, she's completely changed. The light in her eyes has faded, and I can tell how on edge and depressed she has gotten. I want to help her work through this, but I don't know what to do. I don't know if I can do anything to help, or if it's something that she needs to work through on her own. It's ending the life of me to see her this way, and I don't know what to do. I guess I'm just looking for help or some advice. Edit. That night we had 3 beers and 2 drinks over a span of about 5 hours, plus her 1 shot. We're experienced drinkers and both know what a blackout from drinking is like. This was not that. This man in question was considerably older, maybe late 50s. So I didn't think much of it. I just thought he was another old local drunk. After the shot, we went outside, and when we went back in, my girlfriend and I switched seats. I noticed she was still uncomfortable, so we moved to a table across the bar and carried on. A bit later, he tried approaching her again, but I immediately got between them, and he didn't bother us the rest of the night. I know I should have stepped in a lot sooner. Towards the end of the night, I could tell she seemed a bit disoriented, but I just chalked that up to the drinks and tiredness from intimacy. I have a therapist, and she's scheduled for one in a month. I contacted the bar and let them know the situation. No reply yet, so I don't know if there is any way to find out if the other woman is okay. She has a couple of friends that she's talked to about it. We've both agreed that we're not going out for a while, and we're cutting out alcohol altogether, except for occasionally when we're out for dinner. I will say the next day she was very tired. She went to work for maybe an hour and came home and slept the rest of the day. We've talked about it since then, and a bit earlier today, and things feel like they're going okay. She is still comfortable with small things, and there are little things she does that tell me she still wants me sexually. So I feel like we're heading towards the right direction. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Get her tested. That way she will know for sure and could be reacting over something that really didn't happen. Then she could start to feel better about the entire situation. She could have drank too much, and it was enough to bring her over the edge with the shot. My friend was drugged at a nightclub, but she went from sober to extremely drunk in a matter of minutes. You could see the changes in her, and her behavior was really odd from what her normal is. We took her home, and she did get tested and was found with the date wrap drug in her system. Also, never accept a drink from a stranger. Go see the drink being made. If I leave my drink on a table and walk away, I do not drink it and will ask for a new one. That night, we 6 women were brought drinks. I refused, and several others did too. My friend didn't. I grew up in San Francisco, so you have to be sharp when going to clubs for this very reason as a woman. Comment 2. Hey OP, I see a lot of people focusing on the drugged aspect. They are missing the point that if you weren't her boyfriend, getting a chick wasted and taking them home would be date rap. That's how you both feel, yeah? I agree with the poster who said to sit down and say intimacy is off the table, and let her know she is loved and you will stand by her as you both process this. She can try calling a crisis line that can point to resources. Frankly, I think both of you talking to a counselor of some type would be beneficial. Good luck. Now for the update. Thanks for sticking around after my last post. I need to get this off my chest. Just when I thought that things couldn't get more twisted, they did. Remember the guy from the bar? Turns out, he's the uncle of one of my girlfriend's coworkers. Small world, huh? She found out when her coworker, let's call her Jane, showed her a family photo. My girlfriend recognized him instantly. She was shaken, to say the least. Jane noticed, and after a private conversation, everything spilled out. Jane was horrified and promised to confront her uncle. A few days later, Jane came back to my girlfriend with news that made our blood run cold. Her uncle had bragged about having fun with the young ones at the bar. Jane was disgusted and had cut ties with him, but the damage was done. My girlfriend was a wreck. She couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, and kept saying she felt dirty. I was furious, but what could I do? The guy was family to someone she worked with every day. Then, as if things weren't bad enough, my girlfriend's ex showed up out of nowhere. He'd heard about the incident through mutual friends and decided it was his place to check in on her. I've always known he wanted her back, and this was his chance to play the hero. They talked, and he offered her a shoulder to cry on. I didn't like it, but she said it was harmless and that she needed all the support she could get. Next thing I know, she's spending more time with him, and I'm seeing less of her. She says it's nothing, but I can't shake the feeling that she's slipping away from me. And with her ex in the picture, I'm starting to wonder if I'm fighting a losing battle. But wait, there's more. Jane's uncle suddenly passed away. Heart attack, they said. The news hit everyone like a ton of bricks. Jane was conflicted, mourning the loss of her uncle, but also relieved that he couldn't hurt anyone else. My girlfriend didn't know how to feel. She was still processing the betrayal, and now this. It was a lot to take in. Amidst all this, my girlfriend's behavior started to change. She became more secretive, always texting and quickly hiding her phone whenever I came around. I wanted to trust her, but doubt crept in. One night, I caught a glimpse of a message from her ex before she could hide it. It was nothing explicit, but the familiarity between them was undeniable. I confronted her about it, and we had our first real fight. She accused me of not trusting her, of being paranoid. I shot back, saying her ex was clearly trying to wedge himself between us. She stormed out, and I was left wondering if I'd pushed her right into his arms. The next day, she came back, apologetic, and we made up. But something was off. She was distant, and I could tell she was holding something back. I didn't press her, though. I didn't want to drive her away again. Now, here we are a month later. She's still seeing her ex, but she insists it's platonic. I want to believe her, but it's hard. Every time she's out, I can't help but wonder if she's really with him. And with Jane's uncle gone, there's a sense of unresolved tension. No one got to confront him. No one got to see him face any consequences. It's like he just vanished, leaving a trail of chaos behind him. I'm trying to be supportive, to be the boyfriend my girlfriend needs, but it's tough. I feel like I'm competing with a ghost and her ex, and I'm losing on both fronts. I'm not sure where we stand, and I'm scared of what the future holds, but I'm still here, still hoping things will get better. Thanks for reading. I'm just trying to figure out where to go from here. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.